What's up, guys? Quab here. So, what I got in store today is a little bit of some fantasy football. So, probably not going to be talking too much politics today, but it's September. The NFL is coming back this Thursday with the Chiefs versus the Ravens. So, I thought, what better way to do this than to go through our fantasy football season and see uh, how things start and just go through the season week by week and just see the progression of the different teams and how everything plays out. So here we have the fantasy football home. So we're going to go to the league that I'm interested in. So my league at school. How the hell do you find this? All right, boys and girls. Fantasy football, Hamilton House League. All right, so let's go through the draft. Let's go for a draft recap. So we had our draft 2 days ago, and what we ended up going with was I had the second to last pick in the first round. I took Austin Eckler. As you can see, it was wide receiver. Only two wide receivers went in the first round. We had 10 running backs, I guess. Christian McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, Kamara on the trade block. Thomas is always going to be in the first round because he's just indestructible. Derrick Henry's a beast. Devontae Adams. Then you had the rookie Edwards-Helaire out of LSU. So they won the title with Joe Burrow. So it'll be interesting to see how he can work with Patty Mahomes. I took Ekman. There's Josh Jacobs. Second round, you can see Julio went, Nick Chubb. Still a lot of running backs and wide receivers mostly. The only tight end that got picked was Travis Kelce. Third round, DJ Moore, Kenny G, Allen Robinson, Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley dropped off a lot since the previous 2 years, obviously with the knee injuries. I took the boy Juju. Fourth round, still running backs. The first quarterback went off the board. Lamar Jackson in the fourth round. Zach Ertz went in the fifth round. You got some Devin Singletary, Deshaun Watson off the board. Diggs. Round 6, Fournette was taken by me. Kareem Hunt was taken. Michael Gallup. Those are the main 6 rounds. And obviously, as you get further along, you see what's going on. So what we're going to do is look at each team and pretty much just go through each team and see what each team looks like before the first game of the years. So first team we're going to look at is Get Moss. So the league coordinator looks like he went with Matt Ryan, Zeke, and Kerryon Johnson. So Zeke's obviously very good running back. Matt Ryan obviously puts up lots of numbers. Kerryon Johnson, he can be iffy depending on how he looks. Mike Evans got Brady, Robert Woods in their attack with all their wide receivers. Kelsey's obviously a solid tight end. DJ Shark's probably going to be the number 1 in Jacksonville, but they're obviously tanking. Vikings always have a good D, and then Jake Elliott. Bench looking decent. Marquise Brown, Madison from Minnesota, backup to Dalvin Cook. Chase Edmonds is looking to be the number 1 in Arizona, I think. Naeem Hines in Indiana, McKinnon, and James Robinson. So overall, a fairly good-looking team. Definitely a team that can do some stuff. We go to the next team, F-. That's just one guy in the league that people just like to make names off of for some reason. I don't really know. So we got Deshaun Watson for this team. Derrick Henry. Melvin Gordon made the switch from the Chargers to Denver, and he's going to be competing with Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. Melvin MG's my dude. I had him the past 2 years, and he put up good numbers for me. But I think he's iffy, and I just couldn't take him this year. But this guy definitely decided to. Oh, this is Millen's team. Makes sense. Deshaun Watson's always his QB. Adam Thielen obviously went off last year. Higbee's going to be a good tight end. Michael Gallup is a good flex. Bills D was pretty good last year. Then Justin Tucker is pretty reliable. Debo is going to be one of the top receivers in San Francisco. Breida is in Miami now. So they're probably just going to suck. Robbie Anderson, Jamal Williams, Newton, Henderson. Obviously, Newton's with my team, the Pats. This team is going to looking to be doing some damage throughout the year. Obviously, everything's just draft preliminary right now, but we'll see how everything shapes up. This is a 12-team league, so we got TB12 as a starter, and then, in my opinion, not the greatest running backs. 1-2. Miles Sanders is going to be the number one. Obviously, out of Penn State, I think he's in his second or third year now. He's a decent guy, but not someone I want heading my backfield in fantasy. Aaron Jones, Tyler Lockett, touchdown dependent. Jarvis Landry, I had him last year. He was Jarvis Landry. Mark Andrews had a great year last year. Don't know if he can keep it up. Sterling Shepard, we'll see what that can do. Niners D, obviously Phil, and then Matt Prater. DeAndre Swift, the running back out of Georgia. CeeDee Lamb, Golden Tate, Hawkinson, Rogers looks like he's deteriorating, and then Larry Fitz is probably going to be number 3 behind D Hop and Christian Kirk. Overall, a pretty good looking team. Like I said, no strong predictions can be made as of right now. It's nil records for everyone, and it's just hard to know exactly what we're going to be looking at here. I got to be a little bit quiet because people are sleeping, so people are getting their Z's in. We got, who's this team? Okay. So probably the most researched heavy person in our league. He went with Carson Wentz at the QB position. Kamara's in the trade block, which is obviously cause for concern. JT, Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin, Big Ten man. Very good rusher. We'll see how he can do. I mean, Marlon Mack is still there. Nyheim Hines is still there. So I don't know if it's his position yet to just take all the carries, but he's definitely a quality running back. Chris Godwin can be a god at sometimes last year. I always bash that dude, and that dude just always performed last year. OBJ, OBJ, if I think this year he's probably going to be a quality number two wide receiver this year. Emphasis on number 2. Noah Fant, Devin Singletary, Ravens D is always good. Robbie Gold's always good. David Montgomery, whatever. J.K. Dobbins, OSU, so automatically trash. Jerry Jeudy, Alabama, speedy as hell. Slayton, Bourne, and Smith. Team looking decent. Kamara could be iffy. Taylor could be iffy, but the wide receivers are looking very strong in my opinion. And then Dobbins pops off. You never know what could happen with that. And obviously with Jerry Jeudy, it could be a very interesting way to see how that team shapes up. Space. Kyler Murray could be very good for fantasy this year with D Hop, Christian Kirk, Larry Fitz. We all know about Christian McCaffrey. Antonio Gibson's going to be the number 1, I think, in Washington, but he's a rookie. Not much I really know about him. Mark Cooper I had last year. At home, guy put up 20 points. On the road, guy put up -4. So take that as you will. DJ Moore is DJ Moore. Zach Ertz is like the best wide receiver in Philly, so he's always going to put up points. AJ Green, I haven't seen that guy in about 4.5 years. Chargers D, don't know. I'm pretty sure one of their safeties got hurt. Greg Zuerlein is on Dallas now. Pretty sure he used to be on the Rams. Preston Williams, James White. New England really does a by committee kind of thing. James White is their pass backing pass catching third down guy, but we'll see. He's a good bench player to obviously have. Mike Williams, Jared Cook, Darian Sutton, Sammy Watkins had like 42 points the first game last year, and I don't know if he had 42 points week 2 through 17 the rest of the year. So yeah, obviously Christian McCaffrey carries this team heavy. Besides that, very variable. AJ Green, is he going to be healthy? Zach Ertz. It's interesting just to see how everything shapes up this year with all these teams and just so many different interdependencies on obviously the COVID situation and just everything going on. It's so variable. Fantasy is just so variable. This team, Lamar Jackson, obviously MVP, cover of Madden. Drake, don't know. Raheem Mostert, don't know. Say running back's looking a little weak here. Michael Thomas, filth. Allen Robinson, filth. Evan Ingram, filth, but never on the field. So pretty much he'll probably be looking for a tight end week 3 for the rest of the year. Devontae Parker, Saints D, some guy, Brandon something, Tariq Cohen, Henry Ruggs. Ooh, he could be a special guy out in Las Vegas with the Raiders. He's got a D Carr thrown to him. Latavius is a backup to Kamara, but if Kamara gets traded, I'd see Murray stepping up. He could go from 6.3 projected up to like 15 projected per week. Chris Thompson's the number 1 in Jacksonville, supposedly. A 3-down back. N'Keal Harry, I hope he breaks out this year for the Pats. He's got a good connection with Cam Newton, it seems. Then Ozzy Gobo. Yeah, so overall, running back's looking a little weak, but he's got Lamar Jackson, Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson, and if Evan Ingram stays healthy, this team can do some serious damage this upcoming year. Liquor Snurf. All right. What we got here? We got Matt Stafford, Chris Carson, Todd Gurley. Matt Stafford, getting up there in age. Chris Carson, I don't really know if he's the number 1 guy you want leading your backfield. Todd Gurley has knee problems, but if he's Todd Gurley of 2 years ago, this team has one of the best running backs in the league. If he's Todd Gurley when he was barely getting touches against Dallas in the playoffs and Chris Anderson was putting up 150 yards per game, then this team's going to have a rough go of it. Devontae Adams is obviously the number 1 guy. He's probably the only person who catches passes from Rodgers out in Green Bay nowadays. McLaurin showed some flashes last year. Austin Hooper, obviously very good tight end, can put up some big points. Stephon Diggs is out in Buffalo now with Josh Allen. Colts D, Zane Gonzalez is very reliable. Kareem Hunt is definitely a key guy to have on the bench, as is Marvin Jones Jr., as is Christian Kirk. These could be 3 guys who could end up putting good numbers up throughout the year. Marlon Mack, obviously Jonathan Taylor is there now. Justin Jackson's going to be the backup to the Ekman, and then Kirk Cousins. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he average? Is he great? I don't know. But we'll see what he can do. Overall, this team, if Todd Gurley performs like he had 2 years ago, this team could be putting up some serious numbers week in, week out. Austin Hooper puts some numbers. Stephon Diggs puts up numbers. But if Josh Allen's running and holding the ball and running in for himself, Stephon Diggs not going to get those TDs. A lot of people can catch passes in Cleveland. And obviously Christian Kirk's got to compete with what's-his-face, D-Hop, and the great one, Larry Fitzgerald now. But that can be a very interesting team. Don't know whose teams it is. Russell Wilson, Dalvin Cook, Mark Ingram, D-Hop, Calvin Ridley, George Kittle, Julian Edelman, Titans. This team's looking very, very interesting. Russell Wilson's obviously God mode. Dalvin Cook, if he's not hurt, is good. Mark Ingram with the rushing attack and the Louisville kid obviously will be really good. D-Hop is D-Hop. He's a new place, a new QB, so we'll see how long it takes to make that connection. Calvin Ridley, I think, is the number 2 guy now. Kittle is obviously just a straight beast. Edelman's obviously number one guy now in New England. Titans D just got Jadeveon Clowney. Chris Boswell, comma Chris, that's his name. Philip Lindsay, has got to compete with what's his face now, MG3. Jordan Howard's in Miami now. Anthony Miller's there. Boston Scott, just a great name. Mike Sutton, and then Buccaneers D. This team is looking like it could definitely do some decent work. I just don't know whose team this is, but whoever's team this is, they could be doing some decent damage when it comes down to it. Dak Prescott, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, obviously the LSU kid. What's he gonna do? Joe Mixon is always iffy. AJ Brown is iffy. I don't think Tannehill's gonna be that good. Cortland Sutton iffy. Is Drew Lock gonna be that good? Rob Gronkowski iffy. He's not Gronk of 2013. DK Metcalf iffy. I mean, the guy's just strong. Bears D iffy this year. Mason Crosby iffy. Pretty much, this team is literally the definition of iffy. Like, this team will either put up 45 points or 145 points. Then you got Zach Moss, Tevin Coleman, Sanders, I think, could be really good. Henderson's a backup. That guy has a weird name. Daniel Jones is obviously Daniel Jones, but Hilaire, is he going to get the touches with Mahomes throwing 50 passes a game? Is Mixon going to be good with Joe Burrow trying to get some reps in there and make it work with receivers? Cortland Sutton, I don't know. Gronk, I love Gronk. I'm a Pats fan, but I just don't know what Gronk's going to do this year, especially when you got Godwin and Evans, Cameron Brate, OJ Howard. Got a lot of dudes there. Josh Allen and Saquon, obviously going to be a very good quarterback. This team's looking James Conner as well. Excuse me. Kenny Galladay, Cooper Kupp, Hunter Henry. I'm really liking the top front of this team. Josh Allen is a good fit fantasy. He always rush those in. Saquon, they use him a lot, but that means he's going to put up a lot of points. James Conner's obviously coming off an injury, but he should be good. Kenny G's, I think, the best receiver in that place, Detroit. Cooper Kupp. Hunter Henry's obviously good. Sony Michel, I don't know exactly how he's going to be this year, but Eagles D, they always seem to lose a player every week. And then Young Ho Koo. Cam Akers is the starter now, but I think he's a rookie or second year from, forget where he's from. Will Fuller's going to have to step up this year with D-Hop gone. Brendan Cooks obviously did come in. Tyler Boyd, I had him last year. He put up some good numbers. AJ Green's back. Prashad Perryman, he had like one ridiculous game last year with like 3 TDs. Tony Pollard can, if Ezekiel Elliott gets hurt, Tony Pollard can definitely step up in that role. And then Alshon Jeffrey, it looks like 0 points. I don't know if that guy's ever not injured anymore. Eagles just always have so many injuries. You can never rely on the receivers. Big dumpers. We got no Wi-Fi. That's what we got. We got no Wi-Fi. We got no Wi-Fi. We got no Patty Mahomes, Josh Jacobs, David Johnson. Very interesting quarterback. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes is probably the best talented quarterback in our generation after Tom Brady. Josh Jacobs, David Johnson. David Johnson of 3 years ago, if he's that, this team is going to be looking good. Josh Jacobs is only going to get better. Julio's Julio. Keenan Allen, if he sticks to what he needs to be, can be Keenan Allen. Darren Waller's good. Ronald Jones isn't going to get touches. Steelers D is always good every year. TJ Watt's a breakout star. Harrison Butker's always going to get points with the Chiefs offense. Deontay Johnson, John Brown, and Stephon Diggs are the top two there. Duke Johnson's the handcuff. Randall Cobb's on Houston now. Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow is the backup. This team, 115, 116, this team can be very good. David Johnson, I think, is going to be the crutch. If he performs like he should be, this team's going to be very dangerous and win lots of games this fantasy year. But like I said, everything's up in the air. Go to my team, the best team. This effing thing. Team boys on my tip. So we got the best quarterback in the game after Cam Newton and Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Austin Eckler obviously held his own when MG3 was out last year. Is going to be great. Nick Chubb is the number one. Kareem Hunt is obviously there, but Nick Chubb's going to get the bulk of the carries and carry them in the running game. Juju's going to be great with Big Ben back. T.Y.'s going to be great with Phillip Rivers throwing to him. Hayden Hurst is going to be the number one tight end in Atlanta. Le'Veon's going to be great after a year in New York. Patriots D, godsend. Will Lutz, godsend. Leonard Fournette's going to take the role. Brandon Cooks is going to be amazing, being the number one now because Will Fuller's always hurt. Jamison Crowder is going to be the number one. Mecole Hardman is fast as hell. If Tyreek gets hurt, Sammy Watkins is just kind of like playing the slot or whatever. So I think Mecole Hardman, send him deep. My man's going to catch a touchdown pass. He's going to be a dangerous bench man. Curtis Samuel, that I auto-drafted that by accident, and then Big Ben is there. This team's looking great. Obviously, everything can change, but you'll see how it goes. So, yeah, if we go to last year, you can see last year I finished... I don't know what place I finished in last year, but this team was first last year. League manager was second. And then the team that plays off of the league manager was third. People change names, so I don't know who was sixth, seventh. I'll go back and do that later. But yeah, so that's our teams. We can go. Let's just look at the matchups for the week are going to be OBJ versus Matt, Letterkenny versus BM Easy, Get Moss versus Team, Lick versus Club Space, Big Dumpers versus F Modest, and Team Jimmer versus Team Boys on my tip. One thing I just need to find, how do I go to the, this is what I want to go to. This is what I want to go to. So right now, everything 50-50. So as of right now, Tuesday night, this would be my matchup versus Team Jimmer. As you guys can see, I think quarterback, I have the edge. First running back, second running back, the edge. First wide receiver, second wide receiver. Tight ends is top, toss up. Flex, I got the edge. Defense, I got the edge. And in the kicker spot, I think I got the edge. So I see a week one victory for me. I'd say Lamar Jackson has the edge. I'd say Kamara has the edge. We'd say toss up at the second RB position. Toss up at the first wide receiver position. Toss up at the second wide receiver position. Toss up at the tight end. Toss up at the flex. Ravens D I'd go, and then Robbie Gould. So I'd say it's looking like a very competitive game between these two. OBJ versus Matt. Letterkenny and TB12. Letterkenny versus Team BM Easy. You got to go with Brady. Then Saquon. I'd go James Conner over Aaron Jones. I'd go Kenny G over Tyler Lockett. Probably take Kupp over Landry. Andrews over Henry. Shepard and Michelle a toss-up. Niner D for sure. Matt Prater for sure. So I think BM Easy is going to pull this out slightly this week. Matt Ryan versus Russell Wilson's a toss-up. Zeke versus Dalvin Cook. Who are they facing? It's going to be a toss-up there, too. Carry-on versus Ingram. I give the edge to Ingram. Evans versus Hopkins. That's a toss-up. Woods versus Ridley. Probably give the slight advantage to Woods. Kelsey versus Kittle is off. That's a great matchup first week for tight ends. You got to give that one to a toss-up. DJ Shark versus Edelman. You got to give that one to Edelman because Pat's rule. Vikings D versus Titans D. I give it to Vikings, and then toss-up at the kickers. I'd say it's going to be a close matchup. I'd say it probably goes going to come down to the wire for this one, but I'd probably go with the Get Moss team over IT. Stafford versus Murray. Got to go Murray. McCaffrey versus Carson. You go McCaffrey. Gibson versus Gurley. Toss up. Adams versus Cooper. Adams. McLaurin versus Moore. McLaurin. Hooper versus Ertz. Ertz. Diggs versus Green. Diggs. I don't even know if Green's like alive. Colts versus Chargers. I definitely would go. Don't know. Gonzalez versus Erline toss up. I'd say for this one, I could see Club Space pulling it out by good 10, 15 points this week on this team. I just don't know about Chris Carson, man. Chris Carson sketching me, but this guy does have Antonio Gibson, which you don't know anything about him really much. He's a rookie. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this goes. But if I had to flip a coin bet, I'd probably go Club Space. And then our last matchup, Big Dumpers versus F Minus. We got Mahomeboy versus Watson. That's a toss-up. Bears fans are crying at that one. Jacobs versus Henry. That is going to be Henry. Johnson versus Gordon. MG3. He's in my heart, man. I had him the last 2 years. Jones versus Hill. Toss-up. Allen versus Thielen. Waller versus Higbee. Waller. Jones versus Gallup. I'd probably go Gallup. Bills versus Steelers. I would probably go toss-up. Butker versus Tucker. Toss-up. So I don't know who the hell's going to win this one, but if it comes down to it, it might even be the quarterback battle on Thursday. Mahomes versus Watson. And Mahomes got a little bit more weapons than Watson, so I'd say Mahomes wins, but F minus takes the victory for the week. Yeah. So that's all I got. That's all I got for today. So yeah, I just wanted to switch it up a little bit. I think that's something I will keep up with throughout the week. Probably get my friends involved, see their thoughts. But yeah, so hope you guys follow us for our fantasy football league this year and just see how everything shapes up. Thanks for watching, and I'll probably have another video up very soon. School's getting a little getting a little involved. Then you gotta like find a job and all that stuff. In this economy, man, it's it is what it is. But thanks for watching. Yeah, we'll see where this goes, and I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Thanks.